Greetings. Let's talk. So, as most of you know, especially any of you who follow my channel, I was recently named a Herald Extraordinary in the Kingdom of Monstiora. And society-wide, I have since learned that there are only 135 Heralds Extraordinary. I was 133. And we've recently made 2 since then. Now, Herald Extraordinary is a title given by the principal herald of a kingdom. It is done with the blessing, but it does not require the signature of the crown. And it is the College of Heralds and the College of Arms. It's their own ability, their own way to recognize outstanding heralds within the community. And I, of course, was very humbled to be named a Herald Extraordinary. Now, one of the very, very few privileges that the title Herald Extraordinary has is you can wear your tabard, this one, for example. I've heard it called antwise or crosswise, where instead of the front panel and back panel being front and back, you turn it sideways and they come off the shoulders. And it prevents a very, as you can see here, prevents a very different silhouette. It's very distinct. And of course, the thing is, when you name someone like me who's very visible and very active in the local and the kingdom level community, and I post pictures of when I do wear the tabard crosswise, that leads to a lot of questions. A lot of people, Herald Extraordinary is not terribly common. Not a lot of people who are Heralds Extraordinary do court and voice heraldry. So suddenly having a flurry of pictures of me and now others wearing their tabards crosswise in court led to a lot of questions like, what's this? And where'd this come from? And that, of course, led to some of the historical citations, because the practice of wearing the tabard crossways is historical within the English College of Heralds. But that also led to some of the points where we realized that the tabard worn crossways was for heralds pursuivant within the college, and the pursuivants were junior heralds to the senior-most heraldic staff, especially in England. So kind of I don't want to say wannabe heralds, that's not accurate at all, but they were the junior heralds. So wearing the tabard sideways in that situation, it's almost reversed. The SCA here has it backwards. Wearing my tabard crossways is the reverse of the historical practice, where only the senior-most heralds would wear it frontways. And I want to use this as a talking point, kind of on 2 things, one short and then I'll get into a longer one. The first one is, let's acknowledge right now that there are traditions in the SCA that are based on, at best, a misunderstanding of history. We started this practice back when we thought this was accurate, and the tradition persists, even if we now know the practice is inaccurate. Or sometimes, to be absolutely fair, there are traditions and practices which were based on utter fiction, and the people who did it, who started it, knew it was utter fiction and either didn't care or just decided to do it anyway for whatever reason. And they persist to this day, and we just kind of roll everything together because it's the way the SCA does it, even if it's not historical. Understanding that we are not a perfect recreation is important in the SCA game. And it's something we do need to talk about. And frankly, it's something we need to talk about more than we do. And let me explain. That brings me to the second point. Excuse me, get an itch. We really, within the SCA, need to ask ourselves what it is we are recreating. With the Herald Extraordinary, we are recreating the idea of a senior herald recognized by his peers, by his colleagues in the College of Heralds, has a leader in his specific skill set. When I put this tabard on crossways, I have to ask myself, what am I trying to invoke? If I wear it frontways normally, that is the same as everyone else. And the reality is, historically, from the period we are drawing from, it should be all of the junior heralds have theirs turned crossways or have some other distinction. There's slightly more nuance to that. And the senior-most herald, the head honcho, as it were, should have his on straight. That is the visual distinction from history, from one point in one place in history, to be fair. Am I trying to recreate the specific historical practice, which is a valid option? Or am I trying to recreate the effect of I am visually distinct from the status quo by virtue of the fact I'm a herald extraordinary? I am singling myself out as part of this group of heralds, but also separate because I hold the title of Herald Extraordinary and have earned that recognition. Which of those am I choosing? Both are valid. If you are Herald Extraordinary, you are not required to wear your tabard crosswise. You may absolutely wear it the traditional way and use other trappings or practices to convey your rank as Herald Extraordinary. That's well within your right, and it's absolutely something you are allowed and encouraged to do if you so choose. I am choosing, even though I know the practice is ahistorical or misunderstood historically, I am choosing to wear the tabard crosswise because of the invocation of seniority. It is understood in my situation that that is something reserved for the highest recognized heralds within the heraldic community. And that is something that I do as a way to partially to thank those that recognize me, to respect, to kind of reflect the respect people show me within the heraldic community. I am taking advantage of that. And historically, senior heralds would do that by wearing when they were wearing their tabards, they would wear theirs frontwise while the junior heralds would wear it crosswise. The point is they were being visually distinct. I'm mentioning this partially because it's an interesting dichotomy. It's a crazy conversation, and I'm sure I'm going to have friends who are going to watch this video and they're going to comment with a whole bunch of corrections. And I look forward to having that conversation in this video. I do. But this is a conversation that needs to be had more in the SCA. What are we trying to recreate? I do pewter casting. I do late period. Specifically, I'm basing a lot of my work off an Italian master who did several Italian masters who did custom commissioned pewter work. Am I trying to recreate their work, their specific work? No, because their work is in Italian. It used Italian words or Latin words. I'm not capable of reproducing the level of skill that they had in their sculpting. I can try, and I hope to get there someday. But no, I'm not making any attempt to try and reproduce the ship on the high seas with the rolling waves and the paper-thin sails and the wisps of clouds. No, I'm not reproducing that. That's not what I'm trying to reproduce. What I'm reproducing is I am using the techniques of a slate blank disc and raised and wax sculpted in raised detail and sand casting to create custom medallions in modern English with Roman numerals. My medallions rely heavily on letters to convey their message. And don't have a lot of art on them. I'm just now getting into the point where I'm comfortable sculpting non-letters. I just did a griffin for one, and that was challenging. That was several hours of trial and error to get that griffin right. Am I reproducing history? No, because historical medallions are, am I doing faithful reproduction history? No, because historical medallions have a lot of art on them, have a lot of figures and images. That was part of what made medallions so awesome. Mine have a lot of numbers and letters on them, which is not historical. But at the same time, I am producing history because the whole point of the medallion system in late period Italy was this gee whiz, oh wow commemorative item that had physical weight, it had a mass, it was eye-catching, it was imposing. It said that the person holding it either had a lot of skill or could afford to buy someone with a lot of skill. It was a powerful social, political, artistic statement. And I do my medal casting for the same thing. I want people, when they receive one of my medallions, a lot of my medallions I give out as largesse. I give them to someone, either I am giving it to them as largesse from myself, or I give them a handful of medallions that they in turn will give out as largesse to others. And I want these things to be hefty, and I want them to have a physical sense. When you drop them in someone's palm, you're not dropping a penny, you're dropping a fishing weight. That was some of the culture of medallion making from that period. When this is gifted to someone, that heft. And when people see my medallions today, the words have meaning, the letters have meaning, and they recognize that. So it's conveying a specific message. That is what I am reproducing. Whether you're a fighter, be it chivalric or rapier, whether you're an artisan, whether you are on the services track, whether you're, frankly, doing anything in the SCA, there are going to come times where there is direct or indirect criticism or dismissal of, well, what you're doing is not period, or that's not the way it was done, and these are valid. I don't ever want to put that away, because so much of what we do is based off of a compromise or a misunderstanding of history. Our period system is frankly bass-ackwards from what it was historically in Europe in the classic Middle Ages. All of this is, the SCA is a lot of compromise. It's a lot of, we have our own traditions now that have their own emotional weight that we don't want to just discard because we figured out someone read a sentence wrong 40 years ago. You're going to run into that. You're going to run into, that's not historical, or that's not the way it was done, or you are allowed to ask yourself, okay, maybe this isn't 100% faithful to what it was back then. What am I trying to recreate with this item, or this activity, or this letter, or this practice? What am I trying to do here? What am I trying to do here in this game that will hopefully make it better for someone else? And you're allowed to ask that question. You're allowed to answer that question with something specific and focused. I hope this helps. I know that question and that answer has helped me a lot in the last couple of years. Have you run into this before? Have you come to this realization, or have you been hit with this scenario and come up with a different answer? Let me know down below. That's what we got a comment section for. But until then, I'll see you at the next event. Goodbye and God bless. If there are two things I've learned that drive videos these days, it's controversy and engagement. Now, I am never going to fly the controversy flag on a regular basis. It's not what I'm here for. It's not the content I want to make, and I really don't think it helps any of us. But let's do engagement. If you like this video, please go down in the comments and leave a comment. Make sure to share the video. And last but not least, easiest of all, make sure to like the video. That helps drive the algorithm. It helps get the video views and helps promote this material. Thank you very much.